let's see. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, I'm from BNA Software. We are a company located in Norway, on the west coast of Norway. And we've been around for 25 years in the software business, developing products for weight engineering and math properties. And our products are ShipRate, ShipRate Cloud, MassTrack, and ExpressMarine. And today, I will present ExpressMarine and how this connects to ShipConstructor. So ExpressMarine is a Rhino 3D plugin, so it runs on top of Rhino, and it can be used for parametric modeling of structure, parametric modeling of volumes, and it can export the structure to ShipConstructor. So my presentation will be briefly about how we do parametric modeling of structures. I will skip the volumes part, and then I will also explain how we export this to ShipConstructor. So what's the main objectives with ExpressMarine? It is to give you an early weight and center of gravity calculation of your structure model, and also an early calculation of areas or various parts of the structure that can be again used to calculate need for insulations, etc. It can also give you an early bill of material list and a table of volumes and calculate tonnage. And it can also kickstart your ShipConstructor model, because it's a really rapid way of modeling. But if you start out with a hull shape and general arrangement, if you don't have a GA, you don't need it, but it's an advantage if you have it. And then you model all main structural elements in no time. When I say main structural elements, it means that we don't pay too much attention to details. That can be done later, for example, in ShipConstructor. So parametric modeling of main object, what does that mean? To give you a very simple example, we can say that, okay, we want to have to model a bulkhead. And this bulkhead will have a position, maybe at frame 20. And we say that the bulkhead will be limited by the port side of the hull and this longitudinal bulkhead and in between these stacks. So that's the parameter you give in as limitations. And then you just push a button and say create. And then you can say, by the way, repeat this parametric modeling algorithm also on frame 12 and 25 and 40 and whatever. This gives you a very quick way of modeling each of the main object. And every time you create the main object, you have another object that you can limit new object towards. In addition to parametric modeling of the main object, we also use parametric modeling of stiffeners and cutouts and faceplates and these things that go along with the main object. We have templates that you select depending on the type of stiffener orientation, same with cutouts, type of cutout you want to do, and you give in parameters. You give in values for how these cutouts or stiffeners should distribute themselves automatically on the object, whether it's a bulkhead or a girder or a deck. Apologize for the spelling mistake in the title here, but properties, associative, topology, and flexible update are also keywords here. So when you have the geometry, then you get properties by assigning material and thickness to the geometry because we're modeling surfaces. You can also utilize GA by creating a link to 2D lines and even use those traces and that link to move around bulkheads and update the model. And in addition to create the model very quickly, it's also very flexible on updates because you can now move a deck and just click updates and all the objects that is using this stack as a limit, now updates and creates itself anew towards the new position of the deck. And the same with the hull, you can replace the hull and just tell the model to update, and then all the main objects will adapt to the new hull. So that was scratching the surface of how we do the modeling. So then the next step might be to export this structure to ShipConstructor. And we do this via the ShipConstructor Genesis API. So that's quite different than just opening the Rhino 5 in AutoCAD. I also just have to mention that we also, of course, exports the weight and CG data to ship weight, our other product, main product, and to Excel. To export to ShipConstructor, we first connect to the ShipConstructor project. This is done through the graphical user interface of ExpressMarine. Simply go to the Export to ShipConstructor tab sheet and open the project file of the project you want to export to. You enter your ShipConstructor credentials to connect, and you click the connect button, and you wait a second for a sign that says you have successfully connected to the project. Then, to have a successful export, we need to align or synchronize the stocks in ExpressMarine with the stocks in ShipConstructor, because ExpressMarine can be used also, of course, on its own, and we have our own library of stocks, stiffeners and plates. And to make sure that we get the correct stocks in ShipConstructor, we have to align and synchronize. And the way we do it is that the moment that you connect to the ShipConstructor project, you will get the stocks for stiffeners and plates available in your ExpressMarine user interface. And then you have two options. You can either manually assign to the ShipConstructor stock to an object, meaning that whenever you are creating an object, you simply, in addition to select the internal ExpressMarine stock, you select ShipConstructor stock. There are drop lists there, which again reads in the stocks that's available in your ShipConstructor project. And this can be done, of course, along when you are modeling as you go along, if you connect when you start the project. But if you connect after the model is finished, this would be a big task. So we have an easier way to do it, and that's to create a table of translating or connecting the stocks in ExpressMarine with the corresponding stock in ShipConstructor. And this you can do at any time also after the model is finished. Then you can define the corresponding stocks, whether it's stiffeners or plates, and click a button and apply, and then it will automatically deploy the correct ShipConstructor stocks to all the stocks in ExpressMarine. So this is a quick way to do it. And that's it for preparing the export. You go back to your ShipConstructor connection window, and instead of clicking connect button, you now click the export button, and then you wait minutes depending on the size of the project, and the export is done. So then finally you can open your model in ShipConstructor, and when you open it in ShipConstructor, you will find it as if it was created there from scratch. You can't tell that this came from ExpressMarine. It's like it was made in ShipConstructor from scratch. So they have their objects there with piece marks and stiffeners are connected to the plates, and they are ShipConstructor stiffeners, and thickness and stock information, it's all there. The objects exist in the database in the ShipConstructor project. So to summarize just the benefits here with ExpressMarine, you can get an early weight and center of gravity calculation of your structure. I would say that, as I mentioned, we don't do details. You can certainly do details, but we don't have a specific user interface for creating details. So then the parametric modeling is then not possible. You would have to do it more manual. But I would say that you would extremely fast, compared to any other tool, get to, let's say, 90% of the weight of the structure, and you will get then be pretty spot on with the center of gravity of the structure. In addition to give you the weights, and we give you the weights on all stages of or all parts and on the whole. And the same with area calculation, and you get an early bill of material lists. Table of volumes, I didn't talk about that here. If you include the general arrangement, you will also be able to check really the 2D against the 3D in a nice way. And finally, as the exports, again, of course, the data can go straight into ShipWeight by the push of a button. You can export it to Excel, and as shown you here, how you can also export this to ShipConstructor to kickstart your model there, and then continue there doing all the details. So that's what I had to show. We are doing a workshop on Thursday, right after lunch. So if you thought this looked interesting, please sign up for that workshop. And to see many over there. Yeah. Thank you. Questions?
Questions? Sean Butler, Engineering, Parametrics. Where does the 3D model inside of ShipConstructor happen? Does it hold, or does it make planar groups in the correct locations, or units?
Yes. So it certainly creates the planar groups, and I don't know if it's easy to see here, but there is. When you connect, this is for export, then you give a name of the unit. So whatever you export will go into this particular unit of your ShipConstructor project. And yes, planar groups will be created. And also, it is possible to I can mention that as well, to pick this, the tree view you see here, that's your vessel. And you can select also parts of it to export. It's not necessarily all or nothing. You can say, I want to do this deck, these bulkheads into this unit.
Can you do finite analysis using ShipExpress or exporting to something?
No, unfortunately not. You can't do it. I mean, we don't have any graphical user interface to doing that. The model is a true, it's a Rhino model. So if you have other tools in Rhino that can do it, or if you can export from Rhino to FEM tools, I have to admit I'm not too familiar within FEM. You can certainly do it, but just to make clear that the model you create within Rhino is a true Rhino model. And you can send a file to someone without ExpressMarine, and they can open the model in Rhino and see exactly the same as you see in ExpressMarine. Of course, they won't have the ExpressMarine window and be able to do updates and things like that, but they will certainly have the geometry and the Rhino model.
The way to export out of ExpressMarine and the ShipConstructor, then into
alters, hyperworks, or map product or something like that. Probably not that. Yeah.
Any questions? Is it possible to export the model, generate a model without the thicknesses, but with the properties of the planes in order that you can use it? To generate the model, provide it out the model, but you don't go to solve the model, just let it have a shell model. Can you just generate some information without generating geometrical information of the thicknesses?
You can certainly, yeah. Do you want to set up?
Yeah, the ExpressMarine model is a surface-based model. So the weight and center gravity characteristics comes from the stock definition, which can be synchronized with the ShipConstructor stock definition. But there is no thickness in that surface model. So also to answer the previous questions a little bit more, the surface model can be exported to a meshing engine that will create a closed mesh of the surfaces of Rhino. That would be, these are Rhino native objects.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, Nick. Remember. Other question?
Yeah, I add that we have a booth or a table outside as an exhibitor. So if someone goes out of here and thinks, I should have asked that, come by our table and visit us. And yeah.
Thank you, Rhino.
Thank you.